बैट्समैन है वो आकर इस तकरीब का फॉर्मल इफ्तिताह करें। शाहिद अख्तर साहब।
Thank you, Khalid, for a very hilarious opening of this session. So now I think let's forget about the article that I had prepared for. With Khalid's introduction, Bhindi aur achar ki baatein karte hain mere ख्याल में. That is more relevant to today's. In any case, Khalid, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, and actually an honor, to review this book. It's a big book. By big, I mean in both ways. When I entered the room, Uzma opened the conversation with saying something about quantity and quality, and I said, well, you have given me a one-liner for today's opening. So the quantity of the book is big, and the quality is even bigger. So that, I think, is my opening salvo for this. The only problem is I can't help, after Khalid's such light-hearted conversation, I can't help telling you a story about किताब की ज़ख़ामत के बारे में. किताब तकरीबन 450 सफ़े की है और ख़ासी ज़ख़ीम वज़नदार किताब है. तो उस पर मुझे याद आया एक वाक़या अल्लामा इक़बाल के साथ हुआ था. कुछ लोगों ने, ख़ास तौर पर जो हमारे ऑटवा से गेस्ट आए हैं, इन्हें मालूम होगा, उस्ताद इमामुद्दीन एक लेजेंडरी शायर होते थे पाकिस्तान में नॉनसेंस के. He never said a serious thing. वो इस किस्म के शेर कहते थे कि ये सड़क जाती है गुजरात से मक्के तड़क, और इस तरह की शेर वो पढ़ते थे. तो एक दिन वो अल्लामा इक़बाल से मिलने गए और पूछा अल्लामा साहब से कि तुसी कुछ शायरी कर दे हो. अल्लामा इक़बाल ने कहा हाँ कर लेता हूँ थोड़ी बहुत. की लिखे है? उन्होंने कहा ये बांगे दरा लिखी है. तो उन्होंने बांगे दरा हाथ में पकड़ी, उसे ऐसे ऐसे किया कि ढूंढ को पाते होनी है ना. तो उसके बाद कहते हैं मैं बांगे दोहा लिखी है, 1.5 से अधिक किताब है. तो it was voluminousness is not only the quantity, it is the quality as well. In terms of in review, I think there are 3 purposes of a review. You have to have 3 eyes in it. The first eye is that it has to be informative. People who have not read the book should learn some basic things about the book, and then tempted, encouraged to read the book as well. Buy the book, read the book, so that they know what they can expect, but it should only be an appetizer. Don't give the whole story. It should not be a 9-course dinner. जैसे खालिद ने कहा, ambience अलग बात है, लेकिन informative, a review has to be informative. I should be able to tell you, basically sketch what is in the book. The second eye, among these 3 eyes, the second eye is interesting. A review has to be interesting. If a review makes you sleep in your seat, chances are you will not only not hear the review, you will not even be interested in getting and buying the book as well. And the third thing is, the third eye for a good review is that it has to be interactive, and by that I don't mean that everybody starts talking about it, but audience should be engaged in it. They should feel that they're learning something. They should feel that they're engaged in step-by-step description of the book. So I'll give you the vital statistics of the book first. It is, Zohra Zubairi has written 32 poems for this book, 13 short stories, diaries, and 2 lengthy dramas, and then 1 follow-up of that drama in poetical drama almost. But you don't have to read the book in one sitting. The good quality of the book is that you can take one segment of it, read it, enjoy it, and then next day, next night, you could take the book to bed with you and read another segment of it, a drama or a short story. Because what is generally, and Khalid made a mention of it about the cover, that you had prepared the cover. About cover, a wise man, an ancient wise man, and I don't know why it is always an ancient wise man and not a wise woman as well. But in any case, that wise man said, never judge a book. And when you say book by its cover, cover does not only mean the picture, it means the title as well. So he said, never judge a book by its cover. But another wiser man said, never say never. So in this case, never say never applies to it, because the cover, if you see it, it has such descriptive, can I borrow it just to show it to?
Absolutely.
It's prepared really well and plays so well on the title of the book. 1 and 1 make 11. And you see that there are two large structures of minarets. You know, generally, Khalid is a psychologist, psychotherapist, so I don't know what symbols he was thinking, but to me, it appeared as two ones, which could be the title of the book, 1 and 1. And then it also has the figure, the digit of 1, wrapped in a flag of Pakistan and Canada. So it also represents the two people who have, on the one hand, been born and raised in one country, one culture, one world of the East, and then the other flag and one is they have represent the country of their choice, which is Canada and the West. So in that respect, it symbolizes the togetherness, and then the two ones, they make that 11. The only thing is Khalid and Zohra, they talked about their Nani Jan and Dadi Jan. I think it's Nanis, both Nanis.
No, mine was Dadi.
So it was one Dadi and one Nani. So I think a lot of credit should go to your Dadi and Nani for this book, because they gave you this. We have heard it from different ways, but they say his Nani and her Dadi, they said exactly that phrase, ke ek aur ek 11 hote. Other people's Nani and Dadis, they have said it slightly differently. जो हमने सुना है वो ये कि एक अकेला, दो 11. So it combines that people's involvement in it, and also when you say that one standing alone, it gives you a concept of isolation, loneliness, and then with another one adding, it just not becomes one more person, it becomes almost a crowd, that you have a community of people with you now. Regardless, without getting into too much of each story, I'll just briefly mention that Zohra Zubairi's stories are written very differently from Khalid's. In Khalid's case, he is a prolific writer. Even when he talks about, not about his entire books, but just the books he has written with other people, they go in 20s. That's a huge number. Khalid does not write a book. I think book comes to him saying that, can you please write me? Words stand in front of him. दस बदस्ता कमर खमीदा के आका हमें बताइए हम कहाँ जाकर खड़े हो जाएं ताकि आपकी बात बन जाए. That is his style. But Zohra Zubairi, on the contrary, is very deliberate. She has put her sweat, tears, and blood in the book. She has suffered. If you read her stories, while you may be filled with joy in some of them, In others, they'll make you cry. Because none of her stories or poems or dramas, they are without something that seems to have happened to her. When I read the book, first I was sort of disappointed that she had mentioned diaries in it. And you know, when you say diaries, for the thing, simple thing is, if you are writing a diary and then you say you are going to publish it one day, that's not a diary. That's a report, that's journalism, that's activism. And as Khalid has also said in one of his first articles, essay in that is activism. I'll go one more step further. That's actual propaganda, if you are writing a diary for that person. So diaries are very intimate, very personal. You never want anybody to read them. So what Zohra has done, in each of her poems, for example, the poems that you have written, Zohra, about My Two Right Hands, talks about her sister, her friend.
That's a diary.
That's a diary, but you wrote it in a way, it comes out as a beautiful short story. And at that time when you wrote it as a diary, I doubt very much if you had intended to publish it one day.
No.
So, similarly, there is a story, for example, A Tailor's Tale. Now, to call it autobiographical will be perhaps an exaggeration. But the thing is, if you read that story, it will make you laugh into stitches in the sense that it represents a certain way that in Pakistan, in Karachi particularly, the tailor masters, how they make you beg them to sew things on time and how they frustrate you. But the purpose that I found relevant in that was that those people living in Canada who have that background but have been out of touch with Pakistan for the longest time, children who are born here of South Asian parents who want to learn about it, it's a teaching moment as well. They know about those little intricacies of culture which nobody would put in a sociology book. It's irrelevant to put in a sociology book that tailors do this. But when you actually write a story about such day-to-day things, and this goes in almost every story, you can tell that those things have happened to her. One story, for example, A Tailor's Tale is her first story. Her last story is about an elephant. And that elephant is actually, it involves, I think, at least 3 politicians, General Zia, Imran Khan, and then it also involves a singer, Frank Sinatra. Now, in
And
her
a
own
celebrity
way,
actress too.
and an actress too. So in her own way, she has talked about that elephant, and being a shy woman, Zohra just mentioned at the end that when the elephant finally ended at a destination where he was supposed to be getting rid of Pakistan, then there were 3 female elephants. And this Raja Inder got to choose between those 3. What Zohra did not say, she just said that he is thinking which one to marry. What Zohra does not know, that this elephant actually, उसने इस्लाम कबूल कर लिया, अब वो 4 शादियों के चक्कर में है, and he's looking for a 4th elephant that can be, he can marry. In Khalid's case, his most thought-provoking part of the book are the 13 essays that he has written. And you know, I'm not breaking any confidence with Khalid, but he has very openly talked about his family, always, with people, in his books, in his short stories. And one of the things is his complex relationship with his parents, particularly with his mother. Now, on the one hand, when you read about the way he has written about his mother, is one way of writing, but then he has written about, in this short story, in this essay actually, he wrote about my wife's father. And then you know, a child, a boy, a son, admiring his father to a degree, he wants to imitate him, he wants to follow him, he wants to talk about his breakdown and breakthroughs at the same time, and a totally different relationship than he would have his mother. Very enlightening about Khalid. And the same way, he talked about next stage of human evolution and the last hope, which shows the compassion that he feels. He is fortunate to be in the profession that he is in, because people, when they deal with him, they are not only talking to a psychotherapist, they're talking to a healer. And that compassion comes out so powerfully in his short stories, in his essays particularly. Those essays, the best word I can find for those essays is in Urdu, ke pur maghz maqale. You can see the wisdom, because Khalid, being a very prolific writer, as I said, that writing a book is absolutely no problem. He has some kind of mechanism, I don't know what it is. The only thing I know is that he has a reservoir of wisdom. In Pakistan terms, let me explain it how I see it. He has this big deal of shorba. When we were in grade 11, we used to go to a restaurant. Those who are from Lahore, they might know there was a restaurant in Old Anarkali, Shana restaurant, and a Haji ji used to run that. So Haji ji would have a big deksha of shorba, and then other small dekchis of chicken, dal, mutton, beef. Anybody would go to them and say, Haji ji, beef shorba, beef curry chahiye. He would take a few botis and put the shorba on it. Somebody would say, I want sabzi curry. He would take some sabzi and put a shorba in it. So that shorba would cover everything, would make delicious dish. So Khalid has that, in that reservoir he goes, because the wisdom is there, the experience is there. He has everything already. All he needs is just one subject, and he goes into that reservoir, takes some spoonfuls of that wisdom and intellect and insight, and makes that subject something that can be practically used, because among his essays, there is an element of advice in it. He has dug into his green zones experience, and it comes as an entertaining short story, but at the same time, advice as well. There is just one thing I want to, in order to convince Zohra Zubairi and Khalid that I have actually gone through the fine-tooth comb with their book. There are two things. One is, it's already a fat book. So you don't need to have things that you repeat in it. But Khalid, perhaps unintentionally, your poem about, when you write a qissa khani, storyteller, that poem is a beautiful poem. It appears in his poem section. But then, at page 420, now I don't know if 420 has to do something with it. He reproduces the same poem again in an essay, beautifully written essay. But I don't think when the zakhamat of a book is an issue, you need to do the repetition. So that was just my proof of saying that I have read the book. And second is 1S. The book is written, published so perfectly, there's no typos in it, with one exception. And I sometimes think that Zohra Zubairi